to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is entrepreneur and Abraham Hicks fan Louis D'Souza. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Friend Anne Marie is not feeling really great today, so hopefully she will be able to join us again next time. But Louis, we have a special guest joining us who actually tried to join me about a month ago, and the whole thing kind of fell apart because the connection just wasn't working. Sometimes IT supports you, sometimes IT doesn't support you. That day, it was not supporting us at all. So this is go round number 2 with Rebecca Whitman. And Rebecca, first of all, thank you for being so persistent to be here on the show. How are you doing today?
I am great. Timing is everything. And today was the day that I was meant to be on the Law of Attraction Today show. And I'm so excited.
There you go. I love that. So, all right, first you got to give people a little bit of your background to tell us how you got to the point where you're helping women to go from being burned out to abundant in their lives. How did that come about?
Yeah, it came about because I had a different plan. I never thought I would be, a life coach or all the great things that have happened since I started on this journey. I was actually planning to be an actress, which was a childhood dream of mine.
Oh, wow.
I moved to LA over 20 years ago to pursue that dream. I had small parts on big shows like Friends, CSI, and 24. And I never got that break, but I found myself loving the children's acting school business because I don't have kids of my own. And I had a lot of free time in that business because it was an all commission job. And in that free time, kind of like Lewis, I did a deep dive into the law of attraction. I studied with Abraham Hicks and Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay and Marianne Williamson and Michael Beckwith. And I really got a good grasp of the law of attraction when it came to my finances. And I started to make great income with not a lot of work. And then the one area of my life that I just had a hard time applying it to was my love life. And I had a series of really bad relationships. And one of them was a marriage that just was really painful. It did not work well for me. And there was a lot of just criticism. And I filed for divorce after 3 years of marriage. As I was going through a very painful divorce, my dad was dying. And in one of the last conversations I had with my dad, he said, Rebecca, I think you should write something. And I had no idea what I was going to write. Fast forward, my dad's funeral was on a Wednesday. My divorce was finalized on a Friday of the same week. And I didn't fall apart. I was feeling the pain and, of course, sad, but I was still able to show up in my life. And I had a meeting later that year with my financial planner. And he said, Rebecca, I'm looking at your portfolio and you've had your best financial year ever. Yet I know you've suffered from the loss of your dad and your marriage. So why don't you write a book and teach people what you did? So yes, I'm going to write a book. It's called How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. And in the book, I divide life into 7 key areas, which I call my 7 pillars of abundance. And when you have all 7 pillars of life in alignment, or even 5 or 6, like I did during that year, you can become balanced, beautiful, and abundant. I decided to start teaching women how to go from burned out to balanced, beautiful, and abundant. And I teach them one-on-one. I do group classes. I have a podcast called The Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant Show. And it's been an amazing journey.
Sounds like it. That also sounds like that was a horrible week to have to go through. Loss of your father and a divorce all happening at the same time. I mean, I went through a divorce finalized about 4 months ago, and that was enough all by itself. I can't imagine going through 2 things at one time. So yeah, that must have been just painful, unbelievably painful.
It was rough, and I did feel that pain, but at the same time, because I was looking at my life in these 7 areas, I was still able to work out. I was still able to show up for my job. I was still able to see my friends, keep my emotions centered.
We're getting a loop here. I'm trying to figure out where that loop is coming from. I'm not sure where it is, but we're getting are you hearing yourself coming through, Rebecca, as you're talking?
I'm hearing background noise. That's not me.
It
Does
doesn't sound
someone?
like you.
It
Okay.
doesn't like
Louis, do you have something going on in the background?
I'm going to mute myself, so tell me if there's any difference.
All right. Oh yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
Again. Okay, let me reset my sound card.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, we want to have a nice clean sound here, so that's what we're. So yeah, I mean, I totally get it. I think we all get it. That would just be amazingly difficult to go through, and to learn how to center your emotions as you described it when you're in the middle of that. I mean, when we deal with adversity, that's the time when we do our best learning. That's the time when we grow the most, and so on and so forth. But still, that's not easy to do. That's really not easy to do. And what now? You talked about how you had your book and you came up with what is it, 7 pillars for success, and I think you said that year you had like 5 or 6 or something like that. But in your mind, at what point did you realize that some or all of those pillars were what were getting you through to the point where you were reaching that balance? In other words, when did you make the connection?
I knew that if I didn't do my morning prayer and journaling to start the day, I would be toast because that makes me feel, connected and learn. I have a journal that I'm going to gift your listeners called my Abundance Journal, and it helps me learn from things that are not going well in my life. So I knew that practice of journaling in the morning was essential. I also knew that working out would give me strength and confidence because I have been really consistent pretty much my entire adult life for working. Actually, not my 20s. It started in my 30s, and I've barely missed any workouts since I turned 30. So I knew that would give me a lot of confidence and strength because I had a lot of ups and downs through my 30s and 40s, and that workout was like the one thing that kept my like endorphin, serotonin, dopamine steady without using psychoactive drugs. So I knew if I could do my morning practice and my workout, I would be great. And then I also am a member of a couple different 12-step groups, and that community really helped carry me through. So those are the things that I knew that if I could just go to my 12-step meetings, work out, and do my morning prayer and journaling, that I would be okay pretty much no matter what.
It's amazing to me. I mean, we have many people on who talk about all the different ways that they achieve their success or whatever. And you have your 7 pillar program, and others have their other, their programs and their different structures for understanding things. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to just 1 or 2 simple things that pulls us through the tough times. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I mean, my friend said something really funny. She's like, basically, if there was a yoga studio and a karaoke club in any city, she could be happy. Those were so for me, if I can do my morning ritual and exercise, those 2 things keep me so like centered and happy.
And in your introductory story, you talked about the various people, very famous names in law of attraction circles that you connected to that helped you through. First of all, wow, how wonderful to directly connect with those people. But tell us a little bit about those experiences.
Well, I live in LA, and I didn't hire them as one-on-one coaches, but I did get to hear them speak often. I was a member of Agape International Spiritual Center, so I did become pretty close to Michael Beckwith. He was actually the officiant for my first wedding, and he endorsed my book. So he was probably the one that I became the closest to. And Abraham Hicks, back in the day when there were still CDs, I was part of their CD of the Week Club, and I did see them in person 3 times. And oh my God, there was an event where Michael Beckwith and Esther Hicks did together. And I was like, oh my God, my 2 favorite teachers are on the same stage. So that was an incredible event. It was called Revelations. And Louise Hay, I have not met her in person, but I'm just a huge fan of the book, You Can Heal Your Life. Wayne Dyer, I did not get the opportunity to meet him, but I love all his books that he also turned into CDs. And then Marianne Williamson, I did get to see her several times because she would speak in LA as a regular weekly event. So those are, some of the amazing experiences I've had studying the law of attraction. And every morning, I like to start off with the Abraham Hicks. They have 15-minute clips on YouTube, and I love starting my day with one of those 15-minute clips before my head can like get the best of me. I started on down the right track with listening to an Abraham Hicks 15-minute YouTube video.
Okay, very good. Well, I know Louis on board because he's a fanatic for sure of Abraham Hicks. He's a strong advocate of what they have to teach. And Louis, I mean, we've heard this kind of story before of many people finding different ways to turn their lives around in the midst of really difficult circumstances. But it's been a while since we had somebody on who was talking about having the Abraham Hicks influence, which is kind of a nice, refreshing change again. As you're listening to what Rebecca's talking about, tell us what's going through your mind, because I'm kind of curious.
First of all, I've just unmuted myself. Is that noise back?
It sounds fairly quiet.
Yeah, it's quiet.
Oh, good.
Oh, now I hear it again. I'll mute myself, and maybe we just talk one at a time.
Let's see if that clears it.
Testing.
A little quiet right now.
Okay.
I'm still hearing bits of it. I think it's at your end. I think it's in your background. I've
only got my PC, which is running, but it is a bit hot yet. So the fans are a little bit louder, but I don't know if that should make much difference.
No, this is more like voices. This is voices and doors
just
closing,
give me a
that
sec.
kind of thing. Okay, got to clear out the family a little bit. Hey, you have to do whatever you have to do. You know, that's just the way it is around here. And we're used to having little things crop up, but we'll get it straightened out. Okay,
working from home life, right?
That's right. That's exactly what that is. So, okay, Louis, let's take two.
Usually my noise reduction software would remove that completely, but obviously it's not working very well.
Yeah, technology is our friend, except when it's not.
So yeah, Abraham Hicks had really helped me because, you know, I delved into it in a way that I really understood the philosophy. So most of the people I've spoken to about Abraham Hicks is they don't clearly understand the philosophy. So once I took on board the philosophy, integrated in my life, you know, I don't even call it Abraham Hicks's anymore. I call it mine, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I've really got it clearly, and I can explain it simply, quickly, and in pretty much depth as well. And you know, once you've got that and you're carrying it with you in your life, it's a tremendous arsenal of focus and clarity, and you know, creating what you want, which of course makes your life very a lot easier than it was. Put it that way, a lot easier. I find you know, only if I want obstacles do I draw them into my life. Otherwise, I tend to have mostly clean sailing along the way. But you know, it's just fun. Once you understand it, it's so powerful, and you start directing your life, it becomes easier and easier.
How can you have a law of attraction show without quoting Abraham Hicks? Like, I feel like the OG of the law of attraction. They were talking about manifestation and going with the flow, like way before it went, you know, viral on TikTok and Instagram. Like they've been having this conversation for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't even know that the secret came from them, but you know,
yeah,
that's a secret too.
I guess so.
Yeah, they changed the word vibration in the movie to something else, and Abraham Hicks said, "I can't accept that," so they removed him.
Yeah, I
don't know if you know that.
I saw the secret version with them in it.
I have a copy of that. Yeah,
the old version. Yeah.
That's the only version I've seen. What did they change it to in the other version?
I can't remember. It was like positivity or something, or I don't know. But you know, positivity is one part of vibration. It's not, vibration covers everything. That's what I love about the word. Like, there's nothing in the physical universe vibration doesn't cover. Everything vibrates. And so, you know, it's a very broad clarity, which is very important to understand if you want to move forward with, you know, the Abraham Hicks and LOA.
I think they just dropped references to vibration entirely and just referred to attraction or just alternative ways of describing it. Yeah.
They thought people wouldn't understand.
Well, somebody didn't understand. I think that's fair to say.
Obviously.
They took it out. Yeah.
But I mean, Abram was questioned about it, not Esther. Abram was questioned about it, and he said, well, they did it for very logical reasons. They thought that'd make more sales. It was just a money orientated thing. We don't have any problem with that, they say.
And that wasn't the only case either, because when Oprah Winfrey was exploring all this stuff, and when The Secret came out, she was reluctant to even put The Secret on her TV show. She had them on, and she was reluctant to have Graham Hicks on television. She only put him on radio. So yeah, there was a number. There was resistance in many camps. Let's put it that way. But yeah, over time, I think that resistance has ebbed away. Shall we say? It's not. It's really not an issue anymore, which is a good thing. That to me shows the growth of the overall culture, the overall that sort of planetary growth, if you will.
Yeah, people are evolving. Like even my teenage stepdaughter knows about manifestation and all of that. It's so mainstream now, but it wasn't that way 20 years ago. That's for sure.
Kind of exciting, really. There's been so much progress in that area in, like you say, the last 20 years or whatever. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now talk a little bit.
Very empowering.
Oh yes. I'll talk a little bit, Rebecca, about your practice. Because you have first of all, I know you have a weekly women's circle, but your focus is on helping women who are dealing with burnout and life out of balance and so forth. So talk a little bit about that piece.
Yeah, I really love helping women who are burned out. A lot of women that I work with are achievers, and we are taught as women that to achieve, you have to do it the way men do and hustle and grind and push yourself and work yourself to the point of exhaustion. And if you're not working, 12, 14 hours a day, you're not going to ever make it. And that's the men's version of success. I like to teach women a more feminine version of success, which is using the law of attraction, where if you have a full tank, if you're balanced in these 7 areas, you will magnetize your abundance. You will magnetize opportunities, and you don't have to push as hard. Instead of pushing your energy out to achieve success, you get to become a magnet and draw success in. And that's why I call myself the magnetic abundance mentor, because it is a way easier way for women to create success and manifest, to magnetize versus to push energy. And a lot of women don't know that. They're taught it's selfish to put yourself first and to do self-care and to make time for yourself and your workout and your friends and your morning practice. So it is it's a revelation for a lot of women that I work with. Like, I can put myself first and still make great money, in many cases even more money.
And speaking for myself, as one of those men who did try to work 12 to 14-hour days in order to achieve success, it's no guarantee. It's no better for men than it is for women. Maybe there are some men. I do know that there are men who have gotten there. I've interviewed some of them, but I would even go so far as to say the majority who try to go that route don't make it, male or female, doesn't matter.
Yeah, because eventually their health wanes. I've interviewed some very successful 7 and 8 figure female money earners, and literally they worked themselves to the ground where they couldn't even get out of bed because they were so sick. And the whole point of life is to not work for money, but to have money work for you. And if you work so hard that you lose your health, then you lose all your freedom. And to me, the whole point of money is to have more freedom. The freedom to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with who you want. And if you're going to put your health after money, then you're going to sacrifice the most important thing. Health is wealth. And when you have your health, you have every opportunity at your fingertips. And when you don't have your health, your whole life is working on getting healthy again.
And not just health either. I've had numerous therapists and life coaches and various kinds of coaches here on the program talking about how they have these 7-8 figure clients who have, whose relationships are an absolute disaster. Because they were spending all their time trying to build up the fortune, that the relationship part just got ignored entirely. So basically, you go that route, you can pretty much ruin everything in your life except for get the income, and maybe not even get the income to make it even worse.
Yeah, and that is what the 7 pillars of abundance are: spirituality, health, emotions, romance, mental, social, financial. So if you put all your energy into just one and let the other ones go, then you're going to be out of balance. You could spend 5 hours a day at the gym and be like, training for a bodybuilder competition, and also, not make any money and not have a good romantic relationship. Or you could, just do spirituality and just, sit on the mountaintop and pray all day, but then not have any friends. Like, that is, to me, having a holistic life and having the most joy is to have pillars like this, have something going on in each pillar. The goal is to have all of them at a level 10, which I don't know if it's ever achieved. There's always 1 or 2 that are just crushing it, and then a couple that need more support. And that's where I come in, as I can help people support themselves to get that area to a level 10.
Yeah, I don't know if you can always hit a 10. I mean, we live in a life of in a world of polarity, contrast, all kinds of stuff goes on.
Yeah.
Something often be outside of our control. So, is it? Can you ever live a perfect life? I'm not even sure that a perfect life is a meaningful phrase, to be perfectly honest.
I don't think perfect, but I think of it as a harmonious life. So if each of these pillars is a different musical instrument and they're all playing together, that's more of a harmony than having like a perfection. Because I'm a recovering perfectionist. I used to be saying the words would have, could have, and should have at myself, beating myself up, not having the freedom to try new things and make mistakes because I was so worried about being perfect. Now I like to say I'm striving for imperfection.
That's a good way to say it. I like that. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that because basically I keep on saying that, when how much I know is this much, massive, but how much I don't know is infinite.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of humility in that, Lewis. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't know what we don't know. That's for sure.
No, we don't. And if you can keep yourself humble enough to be in that position, then you open yourself up to so much more. Recently I've just been opening myself to so much more information on so many different subjects in different areas in different ways. And I'm obviously at the ready, for that next expansion, because I've just like sucked in a huge amount of information, and usually I'm teaching a lot of it, but now I'm just wanting more and more, just feeding in from different areas, which obviously I feel satisfied with and happy with. But that's there's a lot of information out there that you can draw on. So
yeah,
you can be as fussy as you want to these days.
Yeah, we're in the golden age of information. I mean, wonderful shows like this, LOA Today, and all the podcasts and Audible and YouTube, and there's just so much information. There's like virtual webinars and seminars and there's so much information. So whatever you feel called to learn about, there are many ways to learn, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, I've been listening to Jordan Peterson recently, and I have to stop it every 5 seconds to look in the dictionary what the words mean. That I'm finding quite nice. I'm actually quite enjoying it because I'm learning so many more new words.
Yeah, sure.
Which I had no idea what they meant before. And now I'm starting to put the pieces together of all these words that I've heard in the past and what they meant and how people are putting them. Yeah, it's just good. It's good.
Yeah, it's great.
Anytime that we're stretching our minds like that, whether it's for personal growth or for any other purpose, we're going to grow one way or another. Whether we're doing it intentionally, unintentionally, doesn't really make all that much difference. But when you're stretching your mind, exploring new things, it's going to happen. The growth is going to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Or it can come the painful way by contrast. So
yeah, Well, they aren't mutually exclusive. It can be both at the same time, really.
Oh, right. I mean, Michael Beckwith, I like his quote saying, we're either pushed by pain or we're pulled by a vision to transform.
Okay.
Carrot or stick, yeah.
Exactly.
Carrot or stick.
Exactly.
In your experience working with the women that you've worked with, where are you finding that they're experiencing the greatest growth these days?
They are finding the greatest growth in, I mean, all of the areas. They all come to me with a different area out of balance. So some of them need more friends. Some of them are out of shape and they need to have an exercise and health practice. I would say most of them are lacking spirituality. They don't have a morning practice or an evening ritual where they can feel, tuned in to a power greater than themselves. So that is probably the main way. They're trying to do it all themselves. And when I was in that position trying to run the show and figure everything out myself, it was exhausting because nobody would do it the way I wanted them to. So I now am so grateful that I have a higher power who I choose to call God, which is love to me. God is love. I'm so glad that I have that power as a partner to go through my day.
Which you always had.
Yeah, I just wasn't aware.
Let go and let God is the philosophy, I suppose.
It is. It is. And it's like that poem Footprints, like, and the times when I thought I was doing it all on my own, that's when God was carrying me the most. So yeah, that
Yeah, I
part.
remember that one, seeing it for the first time when I was quite young. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting how we all end up in relatively the same spiritual space coming from so many different directions. I've noticed that throughout the years doing this podcast, people going through vastly different forms of experiences in life and coming from different backgrounds, and all ending up in the same space. I continue to be amazed by it. I kind of wonder, like, if like we all like joined the same cult or something, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So, still not quite sure how that happened, but
the cult is called life.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's the Law of Attraction podcast, right? We're all going by the Law of Attraction. So we all are in the same vibration or soul tribe or coming to the same lessons and studying the same stuff. So we all get pulled into the Law of Attraction vortex.
We all end up in that same vortex. It's true. It's really true.
Rebecca, I'm curious as to what you encourage people to do for, let's say, losing weight or health in general.
Yeah, I have a philosophy called H&M, and it's not the discount store. It stands for H is for hydration. I think that most people are severely dehydrated, and I feel like people should be drinking half their weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces of water a day. So hydration is so important. The second thing is nutrition. I am a believer in the Mediterranean lifestyle, which is fish, plenty of vegetables, not a lot of
salads.
Salads, vegetables, and fish, not a lot of processed food, not a lot of meat. And then the M stands for movement. Exercise, plan your day around your exercise. Even if you can just walk a half an hour, that has been shown to radically improve your health. But finding a mode of exercise that you enjoy is even better. And the other M, I would say it's H&M squared, is meditation. So finding a time each day to relax, to be still, to be present in your body. And if you can't quiet your mind, like I couldn't for a long time, I just listen to guided meditations. I really like guided meditations. I listened to one right before this show. I'm on the Insight Timer app all the time.
Oh, I'm on that too. I love it.
Yeah, we've probably meditated together. So I like how you see who you're meditating with. But yeah, the Insight Timer app is my best friend when it comes to guided meditation. And
I love those Buddhist meditation bowl sounds because I've got a Buddhist meditation bowl.
Yeah, that's great. I haven't done those, but I I like so many different guided meditations, and there's one on
Oh,
abundance.
there's one.
Yeah. So those are some of the tips. And also I'm big into supplements. I have multiple income streams, and one of my businesses recommends liquid collagen for both anti-aging and fat loss. And I feel like supplements help a lot because our farmlands are depleted and we're not getting the right amount of nutrients just through healthy food. And supplements are definitely essential, I think, if you want to be healthy.
Well, I've taken it a bit of a step further. Well, I mean, I'm big into supplements and soil and the planet and nutrition, but I've kind of gone to microgreens at the moment
Yeah.
to kind of replace tablets completely.
I like microgreens too. I put phytonutrients in my water. So there's greens, golds, and red. So all the microgreens and all the golds are like turmeric and vanilla and ginger and cardamom, and the reds are like all the berries and fruits. And so if anybody's interested in those, you can send me a DM on social. But yeah, I like taking the phytonutrients in my water as well, because who has time to eat 12 to 15 servings of fruits and vegetables? So it's just a lot easier to just put them in a powder and just scoop it in the water.
Interesting that you guys are both on that same app. I don't know what the odds are of that, but yeah. And
Inside Timer, I mentioned to you before once.
You
I
did
said
mention
it's
it.
a great
Yeah.
example of how to create an app.
But
That's
I
done
had
an
no
excellent job, and expanding year after year after year. It was just a simple. Started off just as a couple of Buddhist meditation bowl chimers to help you focus with your meditation. That's all it started with. There was nothing else in the beginning. And then slowly they added groups, and then from groups they added people talking, and then then you can have live. Like we could put this on as live, and people could listen to it on Inside Timer. So it goes on and on and on.
So you were there from the beginning.
Yeah, it's
they're right from the beginning.
Sorry, what were you saying, Rebecca?
I said it's definitely grown. Lewis and I were very aligned, and Abraham, Insight Timer app.
Yeah, I mean Carolyn Mace, big fan.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Is she on Insight Timer app too?
I haven't looked for her, to be honest, on there. I don't use the app very much. I try to be as minimalistic as possible. I don't use guided meditation or anything. I just sit there and I just still my mind. I just wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock, sit on the floor in the lotus position after doing a few stretches, and then I do my Kapalbhati and Bhastrika breathing, and then I just I do something that Sadhguru suggests at the moment, and I say for a while, I'm not the body, and I'm not even the mind. I'm on the in-breath and out-breath. And I just keep on repeating that for a while. And I find it's really helpful, which is weird because it's not very LOA. But
why not?
Well, it's pointing to what you don't want rather than what you do want.
Oh, I see.
I'm not the body. I'm not the mind.
Gotcha.
Right.
But I do find it does kind of pull you over to the other side, which is really weird. So he says if there's a gap between you and your physical body and your mind or your soul, if you get that gap open, then almost anything can happen. That's the concept that he brings up in there. But I like Sadhguru as well. So I'm using that. He was in London recently. 16,000 people at the Excel Center. Yes.
Amazing. Is that where you are, London?
Yeah, I'm in London. Yeah.
Neat.
It's been an interesting journey that Sadhguru has been on, and Louis has kept us apprised of it almost every step of the way. That's where he got into the soil. Are you still doing much with soil? I know that it's a strong interest.
Yeah. I mean, from my own garden point of view, I just bought 40 pounds worth of bark, wood chips from a phoned round all the tree surgeons, they call them in this country, people who cut down trees professionally, and I said to them, who wants to give me a whole bunch of wood chips? So this guy, some of them are going to give me some for free, and one guy dropped it off, and I had to give him 40 quid. But it's about 4 cubic meters of it.
Wow.
For 40 pounds.
Wow.
It's massive. I mean, we've covered our entire garden with like this thick layer of, any space in between. So my whole garden is now covered with these wood chips, and the soil is now protected, and now it's going to turn into compost, and it's going to improve the soil and all the rest of it. So I'm always working on soil. I'm going to a soil meeting probably in London in a week's time or so. So yeah, I'm still involved in that. I still do talks with Rotary and other people about soil. So yeah, still very involved with it. And more for a fascination of understanding it. I'm reading a lot of books now. There's a lot of information out there when you start getting to all the microbes and all the little things in the soil, which we haven't even studied about 2% of, and most of your antibiotics comes from. It's quite fascinating.
Yeah. I would think the soil in England is even more depleted than in America, since you guys have been farming for a few hundred years longer than we have.
It's actually not like that, because we haven't gone down the plow and the fertilizer as much as America, and the poisons, and it's been a little more restricted over here, and the way the government has done it. So the soils are not as bad. But good. America, there's a huge resurgence of changing that. It's massive out there. It really is.
Oh, that's
you
great.
Guys will be leading the way into the improvement as well. I can see that already.
It's good to hear. It's encouraging, because I mean, it's one thing to sit here and see stuff going on, but to hear it from the perspective of somebody across the ocean, that's useful.
From 1920, there was about 80 to 90% of the population was in the countryside. Guess what percentage of the population now farms in America?
Oh, geez, it's probably 3%.
5%.
5%. It's actually 2%.
Well, you were closer, Walt.
It was a guess.
Isn't that astounding?
Yes,
in the old days, we didn't have the technology to be able to achieve anything like that. But now, with all the machinery, etc., you've got that ability to do that. But that means all the farming communities have died, which they have, to a large degree. All the rich people are now going out into the country areas and sitting there with their banks full of money and not having to work, and pottering around on playing farming, which is quite common in the UK here. But we actually want that as well. We want a small holding where we can. My wife and I, she's an excellent gardener, and just want to, play with growing things because we love it. It's as simple as that. It's nothing complicated.
I'm about to start a new project based on input from a guest who was on about, I'm going to say 3 weeks ago, something like that, talking about growing sprouts and the value of including sprouts in your diet. And
I listened to that one, actually.
Did you hear that one? Yeah. And it's got some things that make it a little bit complex, but I like it mainly because I don't have land. I live in an apartment, but sprouts are something I can do in my little basement space. So I can do that inside the house.
Absolutely.
So to me,
we're also doing alfalfa on the windowsill and things like that.
Oh, are you? Okay. Yeah. So to me, the whole complaint about not having land is no longer a viable complaint anymore. Because if you can do stuff inside your house, well, say goodbye to that complaint. It's not going to work.
Well, they have tower gardens. There's companies where you get a tower and they have soil at the bottom, and you have different types of crop, and you can put it on your balcony if you have an apartment, or even even inside. But sprouts are amazing for you.
I mean, the nutritional value is about 30 to 60% more than a full-grown vegetable or fruit. So it's hugely beneficial.
Yes.
And the measured energy levels that come out of them isn't 30 to 60%.
Absolutely.
It's 30 to 60 times what you get.
And I use organic soil, organic seeds, and I use hydrogen water to water them. So
I'm going to be doing the same thing, actually.
Yeah. Good, go for it. It really helps with your health. It really does.
I actually put molecular hydrogen tablets in my water.
Oh, really?
Right. So you're also hydrogening. We're all using hydrogen.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We had a great guy come and speak to us about hydrogen once, and he got us all kind of started on it.
Greg, the hydrogen man. Yeah.
Greg. Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually on twice, 2 different shows.
Yeah.
And he was really remarkable. He's one of these people who has healed himself of, I think it was a cancer he had. I can't remember exactly what he was dealing with, but he had a number of different chronic type illness situations and healed himself of all that. And he's now a major advocate for hydrogenated water and taking it both through drinking hydrogenated water and also through breathing it, through a cannula. By the way, Louis, I did finally get the cannula. I know you were wondering about that, but I finally got.
Oh, you did? Have you been using it though?
I've tried it. Yeah, I've tried it
once.
No, I've tried it a few times. I've tried it. Actually, well, I've been dealing with this summer cold. I tried using it with that to see if that would help. After I'd been sick for like 10 days and hadn't made any progress, I said, gee, maybe I'll try the hydrogen, and got the best night of sleep I'd gotten in 10 days. So apparently it did something. Wow. I'm not sure exactly what, but the cold isn't gone yet. So I can't say it killed off the cold entirely, but it's almost gone. My throat may not sound like it, but it really is.
You sound great to me.
Yeah, I just haven't been sick for so long now. I can't even remember. I'm just trying to think when I was last sick.
Wow.
Well, don't focus too much on it.
You don't
want to track that. You don't need that. Don't.
Focus on wellness.
I've got no problem on that area. I really don't. I can talk about these things for a few seconds. Less than 17, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's right. As long as it's less than 17. So, okay. Well, Rebecca, tell us a little bit more about the various ways you're helping people. We mentioned the weekly women's circle. What's that all about, first of all?
Yeah, there were so many women that graduated from my programs and that were wanting to stay in touch, and also other women that really wanted to work with me, but they were financially challenged. So I just decided just to give women a chance to work with me for free. I opened up a weekly women's circle, and it's every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. Eastern in London, Lewis?
That would be 9 p.m. No, 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
I'd have to look that up. I've got an app for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in the evening in London, and it's great for accountability, community, and support. And everybody gets a chance to experience working with me. And then I have a few signature programs. One is Create Your Six-Figure Side Hustle. I help women take their passion and turn it into a profitable business. And that is a lot of fun, because a lot of business coaches say, if you want to start a business, quit your job, max out your credit cards, you put yourself in a do or die situation, and that forces you to make the business work.
It works for some people.
For some people. But again, to go back to the point I made at the beginning of the show, that puts women in a really masculine paradigm of having to like fight for their dinner, so to speak, dance for their dinner. And I feel the women that I work with that are wanting to be more in their
We've got enough pressure in our world. Thanks very much.
Yeah. They don't want to come from desperation, but contribution with their business. So when they have a job that's paying their bills and feeding their family, then they create a side hustle, and it becomes a lot more fun. And when you're having fun, you are more in the law of attraction. You're going to be more magnetic. People are going to want to do business with you. So I teach a course called Create a Six-Figure Side Hustle. I also teach a course called Manifest Your Soulmate in Midlife, which is what I did. So that is a really popular course. There's so many women that are in their midlife, in their 40s, 50s, and even 60s, and they just have given up. They don't think They are viable as a partner. They don't think their soulmate is out there. They think they've aged out of the dating game. So I love teaching women how to manifest their soulmate in midlife. I have another program called Elegant Warrior Training, where every week we take one of these 7 pillars of abundance and I give them tips and tools and insights on how to take that level of life to a level 10. And it's called Elegant Warrior Training. So those are some of the things I offer. And I love speaking. I'm actually going to be speaking in New York City at a women's conference called WIN. And I'm going to be speaking about the power of patience and how patience actually produces immediate results, which is counterintuitive because we think that it doesn't produce results. But again, it's staying calm, being in flow, and you can get way better results than being like, oh my God, I got to get it done. So I'm giving a lecture on the power of patience. And in the fall, I'm giving a lecture at a international conference for single people that are spiritual, that want to learn how to find their soulmate. So there's a lot of fun things coming up. And yeah, just stay in touch for your listeners and stay on my newsletter. I also host a lot of fun virtual retreats and virtual summits. And a lot of these events are completely free and they're life-changing.
I want to dive in a little bit on one of these. Let's take I don't know which one. Let's take the side hustle idea. Okay, so talk a little bit about what you recommend to women. I mean, this is going to apply really to anybody, but talk about what you recommend to women about, how do you begin doing this? And I guess the first question that comes to my mind is, what role does having a passion for what you're doing play?
Well, if you're going to have a side hustle, you might as well be passionate about it, because I'm telling people, don't quit your job, keep that job there for financial stability, and then do something that you are passionate about, because it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. It's going to give your life passion. So how do we take your passion to profit? First of all, we have to figure out, what is your passion? What do you want your side hustle to be? So some of the questions that your listeners can ask themselves: what could they talk about for 30 minutes without referring to notes?
Ooh.
What is fun for them to do? What do people come to you for advice in? What area? When you were a kid, what was something that you were inherently good at without a lot of training? These are just some of the things. And I have a whole guide on my website, Find Your Meaningful and Magnetic Purpose, that your listeners can tap into. It's a free workbook. But yeah, once you find out what your purpose is, now you can figure out, okay, I have a job. So you look at your schedule every Sunday night and you time block, when can I do my side hustle? So you create a schedule on Sunday night where you time block the hours that you can work on your side hustle. And if you don't have an hour a day, then do 15 minutes. If you don't have 15 minutes, do 5 minutes. It's amazing if you're just consistent, long-term.
Consistent's amazing.
5 minutes a day over 3 years, how many hours is that? So I like to say, if you can do 30 minutes at a time, I'm a big believer in the Pomodoro method, 25 minutes of focus with a 5-minute mental break where you don't even think about the project, go walk, like stretch, pet your dog, and then come back to it. So an hour is ideal. If you could do 5 hours a week, which I call power hours, you can create a profitable side hustle. And some women, when their side hustle makes as much money as their regular job, they quit. And some women don't. I'm also a big teacher of having multiple streams of income to create more stability in your life. Because if you're having a bad month in one business, and you'll have a good month in another. And I know that really saved my butt during the pandemic, when I could no longer do my bread and butter job at the children's acting school. And that's when I launched the health and wellness business and the coaching business. And I've owned real estate for a long time. And those other businesses really help keep me financially fit.
Yeah,
we're in a lot of similar situations and philosophies and everything. I've also got properties and also selling health products, and on multiple streams is a very similar thing. Yeah,
Great. Well, that's why we met, through the law of attraction, right? LOA today.
Yeah.
And by the way, the little math problem you proposed, what happens if you spend 5 minutes a day for 3 years? So what's nearly 100 hours? So that would be the answer to your question there. But you're right. It is amazing how over time, if you it's basically just giving attention to stuff. If you give this attention to the same thing over and over again, you start to make things happen. Things start to happen on their own. It all just it just kind of it develops what Abraham Hicks calls the vortex. It creates a vortex of activity going on around that thing, that idea, that element, that passion, whatever it might be. Now, you mentioned something very interesting. You said, is it something that you can talk about without notes for 30 minutes? I can hear in the back of my head a whole bunch of voices saying, but I can't think of anything I can talk about for 30 minutes.
And I can think of hundreds of things.
Well, you could, I'm sure.
Well, you could talk about the law of attraction for 30 minutes. Just think of all the episodes you've done and everything you've learned.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But I'm just thinking about listeners who are listening into that and saying, I can't think of anything that I can do that'll take, that I can do for 30 minutes. What do I do if I can't think of anything like that?
Well, what kind of passionate hobbies do you have that you could talk about? I don't care if it's like sports teams or anything, the stock market. There's things, hobbies that people have. Gardening was already mentioned, nutrition. There's hobbies that people have that they can talk about. I even helped a woman. She loved animals, and she had a knack for helping people find their next pet. So she launched a business called the Furry Godmother, where she was like a pet matchmaker. She would match people to their ideal pet. She loved pets and animals, and so whatever it is that you love, there is a way to start a business if you just think about it creatively enough.
I love that you brought out the idea of hobbies, because I think when someone is trying to figure out what kind of business to do, what kind of side hustle to do, hobbies are probably not the first thing that shows up on their list of ideas that come to them. But when you open the conversation that you're having with yourself up to include hobbies, things that you just like, that you're basically taking any price tags off of it and just exploring, what am I passionate about? What do I enjoy? What feels good in my life? Now it becomes a much different conversation.
What feels good, and that goes back to the law of attraction.
Abraham Hicks, yep.
Follow the love, follow the light, follow what excites you. If something doesn't excite you and it feels like a drudgery, then that's not going to be a good side hustle.
No, stay away from that one.
Yes, stay away from it.
The idea of using, just for interest's sake, Rebecca, the idea of using the word side hustle sounds so American. Sounds revolting.
How do they say it in England? How would they say?
Side business, side interest, side income, another stream of income, or I don't know. There's loads of ways we would say it, but with hustle, it sounds like you're hustling somebody,
Right. Yeah, I can see that, but hustle means like work fast, work rigorously.
And it can mean other things too, yeah.
It doesn't mean to always mean to get over on someone. It can just mean like if you're really.
I'm just letting you know from the international audience perspective.
No wonder why I haven't had any international clients. At least for that program.
Well, just to bring a little balance to it, I will point out that there's another meaning to the word hustle, and it's one of my favorites. It's a style of dance. So it doesn't have to mean that you're taking advantage of somebody. It could be that you're just out having a good time dancing.
That's right. Do the hustle.
Yeah. It's actually one of my favorite partner dances. But okay. So that kind of laid out a little bit of a framework. Now, when they work with your program, I'm trying to get you to talk a little bit more about the program. When they're working with your program, we don't have a lot of time, so I can't go into it in great detail, but what are some of the first things that you want people to do once they've identified that passion and they're starting to work with it?
I teach them how to tell their story online, because that is where most of the marketing is done in this day and age. So how to have a compelling story around their passion and why they started the business. That would be the first step, is to announce their business to their social media and tell the story of why they started it. And then I teach them how to brand themselves on social media and how to attract clients on social media.
Okay. So if they want to, if somebody's listening and wants to pursue something like this, maybe they've thought about doing a side business or a side hustle if they're American, but they hadn't really taken any steps. How do they find out more about it? And how do they find out more about your stuff in general?
Yeah, you can find out all about me on my website, RebeccaElizabethWhitman.com. I also have a link tree that has all kinds of fun stuff, like my abundance journal, which I'm giving out as a gift. Can you hear me? I know I'm frozen.
Yeah, we hear your voice just fine. So
okay.
that's what matters.
You can get my amazing abundance journal, which will absolutely transform your thinking from negative to positive. And it's been I've started my day this way every day for 30 years. It's given me so much resilience. I can't wait for your listeners to grab that. All of that's going to be on my link tree. My women's circle, how to get involved in that. That's on my link tree. And find your meaningful and magnetic purpose is on my link tree. And then the various summits and events and virtual retreats and in-person retreats, everything that I do is on my link tree. So we'll make sure to share that. And
Whoops. Well, that was abrupt. Apparently, it wasn't just the image that was having trouble. All of a sudden, the audio conked out as well. So I'm not sure she's going to be back.
I wonder if she has these kind of problems with all the programs, or just ours.
I don't know. Well, let's be honest. Last time that we couldn't even finish the recording because it got so bad. She was dealing with background construction noises, and
wasn't she in a hotel room or something?
She was in her car.
Oh, she was
trying to connect via her car. Yeah. So listeners may be wondering what happened to that one. We ultimately just dropped the episode. We didn't actually finish publishing it. But here she is. She's back again.
I got the Wi-Fi cut out, but I came back. So I don't know where I got cut off, but I was just saying Linktree is the best way to find me. And the
Linktree is reachable via the website, RebeccaElizabethWhitman.com.
I'm going to give you the link tree right now.
Okay.
To share, and we can just add that to the show notes.
Yeah, sure. Or you can send it to me in the email. Either way, one way or another, we'll make sure we'll get it in there.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time. And we actually got through the whole episode with only a minor technical glitch. So that's a really good thing.
That's way better than we did last time.
Way better. Yeah. Huge improvement. One thing that I want to tell you that I make it a practice now to tell all of my guests, because like so many people coming out of this program, you have made it your mission in life to give and to help people and to basically be a benefit to other people in their lives. And as so often happens, people like you put out content, you participate in podcasts like this one, you write social media posts, and you write blog posts and whatever else, all the different things that you do to put content out there. Many people end up consuming that content that you'll never meet and you'll never see. And we kind of tend to forget that happens. So I like to make it a point and say, on behalf of those people that you've never met and that you've never seen, thank you for all that content you're putting out, because you're making a very big difference in this world by doing that. So keep up the good work. You're doing good.
Thank you. I received that, because sometimes I don't feel like I am because I put content out all the time, like I do multiple times a day. Sometimes I'll get 10,000 views. Sometimes I'll get 2, And
right.
sometimes like, is anybody seeing this? So that really means a lot. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So thank you, Louie. As usual, this has been we got to do more Abraham Hicks today. We haven't done that in a while, right? I mean, we make reference to them, but this is like the first time in a while we've been doing that. So that's a good thing. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.